Okay, in this video, I wanted to cover a topic that comes up quite a bit. A lot of people will ask, what is a biker? The problem with that question is you're asking the individual to declare a definition based on an opinion. What is a biker is a very individually defined subject, so it's always an opinion. All I can do is describe my opinion and what criteria I use to define whether or not someone I'm associating with is a biker in my eyes. So we'll cover that topic today. First and foremost, for someone to be a biker, in my opinion, they have to be a decent human being first of all. There's certain things that I try to live by in my life, and I use those things as a reference when dealing with other people to see if I define them as a decent human being. The 5 virtues that I try to live by are honor, courage, independence, respect, and responsibility. Now, when interacting with other people, those are the 5 virtues that I expect to see them striving for in their life, for me to even consider them a decent human being. Honor is being honest and sticking to your word and trying to do the right thing. Honest and telling the truth aren't the same thing. More often than not, truth is usually a matter of personal perspective. The idea behind honor is that you're not intentionally trying to deceive people. That's kind of the idea. It's not, you try not to lie. You may not know what the actual truth is, but to the best of your knowledge at the time, that is what the truth is that you know. So that's what you say. That's the kind of idea behind honor. Sticking to your word is being reliable. The easiest definition. Basically, if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you tell someone you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, be there at that time and do what you say you're going to do. That's the idea behind stick to your word. The other aspect of that is trying to do the right thing. The key word for that is empathy. You have to have empathy to identify whether or not something is right or wrong. Using empathy, you define what is right and you try to accomplish that in your life every day consciously. That's something you're striving to accomplish. That's basically the fundamental idea behind honor to me. Those things make you an honorable person. So that's the honor part of it. Then the next virtue I try to live by is courage. Courage is just not being afraid. You have to try new things. You have to go new places. You can't let fear define your life. You have to be willing to overcome fear and try things that you wouldn't have done before. The other aspect of not being afraid is, and having courage is, you know who you are, what you believe in, and you're willing to stand up for that. Now, having courage doesn't mean that you have to be stupid. You just aren't willing to cower in fear when confronted with a conflict. Quite often, it takes more courage to walk away from a situation than it does to stick around and fight a battle that you shouldn't be part of in the first place. That's kind of the idea behind courage. Basically, you have to rationally be able to decide whether or not that conflict is worth the fight that you're going to have to battle, and decide whether or not you're not letting fear make that choice for you. The next virtue I try to live by is independence, which is doing things for yourself and not depending on other people to do them for you. That doesn't mean you don't ever ask for help. It just means that you make every effort available to you to try and accomplish it on your own. But when you do have to ask for help, you don't just sit back and watch them do it for you. You actually participate in what they're doing to get it done, so that you can learn how to get it done on your own the next time that thing happens. That's the fundamental basics of independence. The next virtue I try to live by is respect. respect is different depending on your definition. Unfortunately, there's quite a few people that have developed the idea that respect is essentially fear and intimidation. Now, to me, respect and fear are two completely and totally different things. Fearing somebody does not make me respect them. If they're trying to intimidate you, then they don't deserve respect. That's pretty much my opinion on that. For me, the idea of respect is to live and let live and agree to disagree. You have to be able to appreciate that everyone else is going to have a different point of view from what you have. So you don't have to agree with them, but you have to accept the fact that they have a right to do as they choose just as much as you do. As far as I'm concerned, the reality is everyone has the right to do whatever they choose so long as they're not violating the rights of someone else to do the same. So that's kind of respect to me. You give them their space, they give you your space, and you both agree to disagree, and you both agree that you have your own roads that you're traveling, and you're willing to walk away agreeing that you just have a different way of looking at things. That's respect. The fifth virtue I try to live by is responsibility. This is a very hard one for most people, and there's been forever the human race has been inflicted with a group of people that absolutely refuse to be responsible. That's why responsibility is one of the virtues I try to live by. Responsibility is accepting the consequences for your actions, whether they're good or bad. Far too many people want to obtain all the rewards for the good decisions they make, but once they make a bad decision, they try to pawn off blame so that they don't have to accept the consequences for that bad choice. That's not how it works. You have to take accountability or reward totally off of any decision that you make and any action you take. So if you do something, you have to stand by it. You have to do it, to take the consequences for the actions that you do. You can't blame other people for things that you do, and you can't expect them to take the blame or the consequences for something that you chose to do. So that's responsibility. But those are the 5 virtues I try to live by. And when I'm in a conversation or when I meet somebody or something of that nature, that's the first thing I try to establish as whether or not I consider them a decent human being. Those are the 5 things that they should be trying to obtain in their life for me to define them as a decent human being. Now, that's the first step for me to find out if they're a biker. Now, now we come to the difference of what the true question to me is when someone asks what a biker is what's the difference between a motorcyclist and a biker? Because a biker obviously rides a motorcycle, but so does a motorcyclist. So the matter of a difference between a motorcyclist and a biker comes directly down to dedication and devotion to the motorcycle and to the life of living on the road, trying to incorporate that into their lifestyle. Those 3 basic, the 3 things that most people are guided by in their life is definition, dedication, and discovery. Those 3 things are basically what we, on a day-to-day basis, are what guide us through life. Definition is the actions and choices you make that define you. The things that you do on a daily basis that define the kind of person that you are. So the difference between a motorcyclist and a biker is a biker, every action and choice that they make always includes their best friend and companion, which is their motorcycle. Any decision that they have to make, the top criteria that they include in that decision is how will it affect my ability to include my motorcycle in that goal. That's what makes a biker is they look at a motorcycle as their companion and friend, And they try to include that in those choices and in their actions. They always try to include the motorcycle. That's their most closest companion. Motorcyclist looks at a motorcycle as a piece of machinery that's utilized for recreational activities. It's not a inherent part of their life that they have to include in everything that they do. That's the major difference. That's where dedication comes in. That how dedicated are you to the things that you're trying to accomplish, and how dedicated are you to the things you're going to include in those accomplishments. So that's the difference. So that's where you're seeing a big difference between a motorcyclist and a biker. The last one is discovery. Now, discovery is just appreciating new things, accepting new adventures, and gaining new knowledge, which honestly is an opportunity every moment of every day. It just depends on, it still goes back to when experiencing new things, a biker is constantly trying to figure out how to include a motorcycle in that equation. They want to experience new things, but they want to do it on the back of their motorcycle. They want to do it on the road. They want to find new adventures, but they want to include their companion, and they want to do it on the back of their motorcycle. They want to do it on the road. When they're gaining new knowledge, they want to share that knowledge with their motorcycle, and by being on the road, they want to gain new experiences and new knowledge. It's a dedication to the lifestyle of actually being on the back of a motorcycle and riding any chance you can get, and including that in every aspect of your life. That's the difference between a biker and a motorcyclist, because a motorcyclist will take a motorcycle out as a recreation, and anybody can be a motorcyclist. They don't even have to be a decent human being to be a motorcyclist. Any jackass can go take the classes, get their license, and buy a motorcycle and ride around. That doesn't make them a good person, but they're still a motorcyclist because they ride a motorcycle. But they're never going to be able to accomplish, in my eyes, being a biker, because they're not a decent human being. There's plenty of decent human beings that are motorcyclists simply because they lack that dedication to the motorcycle that is required for me to consider them a biker. So those are the differences for me. Everybody's going to have a difference of opinion. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with me on this, and that's why I said in the first place, this is a highly opinionated question when you ask somebody that, because everybody's going to give you a different answer. But that's just my point of view. If you have any questions or comments, leave them right here, and I'll try and get back to them as soon as I can. Till then, live free, ride free, and keep your knees in the breeze.